books I'm excited to show everybody. The first one that I finished not too long ago is The Night Tiger, and I've already read a book by this author. I read The Fox Wife last month and I absolutely loved that book. I feel like the author does such a great job of just blending genres together, even though she kind of categorizes them as historical fiction or historical fantasy. There are always some sort of like mystery and romance elements to it, and I also love her emphasis on Asian mythology, specifically with Malaysian mythology. I also just finished The Mystery Guest, and this is the second in a series. The first one I think is called The Maid, which I haven't read, but it was really popular, and I believe you can read this as a standalone, but if you want to read the whole series, there are spoilers for the first book. I would skip it if you want to read the whole series, and it follows the story of Molly, who investigates a murder that happens in the hotel that she works at as a maid, and she has a connection to the person who was murdered, so she's gonna uncover some secrets about his past. So this is different from the mysteries I've been reading lately. The last mystery I read was The Fury, and I also listened to Only If You're Lucky, and those were definitely a little more like psychological thrillers. This one was sort of like a cutesy, light-hearted mystery. When I was reading it, I was thinking about Only Murders in the Building. So if you guys have watched that show, it's kind of like that. If you're looking for something that's a little more lighthearted than your psychological thrillers and you want like a whodunit sort of thing, then I think you should check this one out. This was a really easy read. I finished it in just a few days. And so now we're gonna get into the book that I'm actually gonna be reading during this vlog, and this is A Short Walk Through a Wide World. This is the author's debut novel, and I believe it was an aardvark pick this month. I think it's a fantasy actually. So this book is about a young girl who suffers from a mysterious illness, and the only way that she can survive her illness is if she is constantly on the move, and so she can't really stay in one place for too long. I feel like there's going to be some really good adventures in this book. I'm really looking forward to reading it. I think we'll just go ahead and dive in, and I'll let you guys know what I think after I read the first couple chapters. I just wanted to show you guys where I sit and do most of my reading. This is my reading chair, and I also have a little beanbag. It's actually not little, it's kind of a big beanbag, and I'll show you guys in a bit, but my dog Rose loves to sleep on this beanbag. Even though it's supposed to be for me, she's totally taken it over, and it's the cutest thing, so I just let her do it because she just looks so cozy and comfortable, and I don't want to disturb her because she's just so sweet. So So I'm gonna get nice and comfy and start reading this book. But I wanted to show you this book stand because it's been such a lifesaver for me. I've actually had a couple of hand injuries and I have what's known as Decker veins. So basically it's inflammation of the tendon sheath, which is right here on the thumb side. So holding books can be quite painful sometimes for me. And I also have really minimal carpal tunnel, which I am working on rehabbing right now. But because I love hardcover books so much, it's just kind of been making it worse. So in order for me to be more comfortable while I'm reading, I use this book stand and it's really handy. So let me show you all how it works. There are different grooves on here, so you can actually tilt it to your preference. And if you like to annotate your books, there's also a nice place where you can put your pen or your pencil or highlighter up here. So I'll show you guys how it works. Basically, you put your book on here like this, and then you open it to whatever page you're reading. And then there are these little, I think they kind of look like antennas. I'm not sure what they're called, but I like to call them antennas. And they'll hold your book in place. I've seen people crochet and stuff while they read, which is so impressive. I don't know if I'd be able to multitask like that and actually do it well. So more power to you if you're able to multitask and read. I just finished the first 2 chapters of this book and I wanted to share my first impressions so far. I'm really enjoying it. It reads very much like the Magic Tree House series. It's very nostalgic. The first chapter takes place in Thailand and Aubrey, who is the main character, is already an adult, so she's been living with her affliction for a while now. And the writing is so immersive. I felt like I was there with Aubrey, and it's actually told from 2 different perspectives so far. So you get Aubrey's perspective, and then she also runs into another group of travelers called the Holcombs, and they are a family with 2 young children. So the second chapter is actually from the Holcombs perspective. Reading this book just makes me feel like a little kid all over again, nestling into my bed, getting ready for an adventure. So I'm really looking forward to reading the rest of this book. And the chapters are actually pretty short, which is really nice. I actually prefer when the chapters aren't too long because my attention span sometimes can't take reading very long chapters. I need to get up and move. But each chapter so far has only been 8 to 9 pages, so they're very short. And so far I really like the pacing as well. It definitely keeps you intrigued. So I'm gonna keep reading for a little bit and I'll give you guys some updates about some more impressions I have for this book. So I just finished the 3rd chapter, and even though I'm really liking it so far, I wanted to take a quick break from reading because I have all of these library books I'm excited to show everybody. I am gonna do a full-length video on these books, talking a little bit more in depth about what they're about. As you can see, I went a little overboard with requesting books. This is my first time requesting books from a different branch, and I thought that they would take a little bit longer to ship because I had some of them on hold. I was in third or fourth place, but they just shipped so quickly. So I'm really impressed with how quickly I got these books, and some of them are even new releases, which I got even before my book of the month and my aardvark box. So if you're looking to save some money, or you want to pick up a book and you're not really sure if you want to buy it yet, I recommend trying your local library. I got so many good books that I've been wanting to read. So I'm feeling a little sleepy and I wanted to make a little pick-me-up. So I got this green tea when I was in Japan, and it's from the green tea capital of Japan, if I'm not mistaken, Uji. And I'm gonna make a little latte as a little pick-me-up, and then I'll show you guys how I do my reading journal. This is my first time making matcha with almond milk. I usually prefer to use oat milk, but I only had almond milk today, and I think I prefer oat milk, but it's still pretty good, and it's super easy to make as well. I'm also thinking that we can spend a little time journaling today. I love journaling. I feel like it's just a really great way to get in touch with my thoughts and how I feel about the books that I read and remember the details. It can sometimes be difficult to remember what you're reading, so I like my reading journal for that purpose. I prefer to use physical copies. All of my journals are in physical form, but I do have a digital one that you can download for free. I made it myself, so if you're interested, you can check that out. And I made it so other people could use a reading journal. So a couple of things here that we need to update. I'm already taking a look. I have not been doing my daily tracker because I started it off as a incentive so that I could read every day, but it's just become such a habit now that I don't even need to track it. It's just something that I do without really thinking about it, and that's the power of habits, right? The more that you do something, the more automatic it becomes, and you don't even have to think about it. It just becomes part of your daily routine. So I'm gonna have to go in and fill all these little boxes in. I also really need to fill in my reading challenge. I set a really arbitrary goal of reading 50 books this year. I don't remember what my reasoning was. I think my logic was that if I read 4 to 5 books every month, that I'd be able to meet this goal, and I felt like that was a pretty reasonable goal, which was maybe like a book a week. But so far, I think I am ahead of schedule, so I'm gonna fill that out as well. And my favorite page is actually books that I've finished. So I really like it because you can keep track of the books that you've been reading and your rating for it. Favorite part is filling in these little book spines too, because I think that they look really pretty. So I'm gonna work on that as well. There's also a section in the back where you can do your book reviews. So this was the last book review that I did for The Covenant of Water. And I've been doing most of my reviews on YouTube, sharing them through videos. So I will need to take some time to update my physical ones as well. But I don't think I'm gonna do that today. Maybe I'll save it for another video. If you're curious about how I would do a written review and what that would look like, let me know in the comments below and I can make a video about that. But we have quite a lot of journaling to do today, so I think we should get started.